Hi, Leah.
Hi, Kamna.
How are you? I'm back to the cold.
Oh my gosh. It's actually not even that cold right now. It was a
No, it
nice
isn't.
day.
Yes.
So I know, but you're back. Welcome back.
Thank
Did
you.
you
It's
enjoy
always,
your time with your family?
I did enjoy it. I had a nice time. The one silver lining is, as sad as it is to leave, it's always nice to come home to your bed.
This is very true. Your bed, your own shower too.
Yeah.
I love being in my own shower, my water pressure and all of that stuff.
And your own bathroom.
Yeah, your own toilet is what you really
Yeah,
meant to
see?
say, but I'm going to say it. You're
Yes, that's what I
all of that.
meant.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you're home.
Thank you.
Um, well, where do we want to go? Do we want to start with the topic this week?
Yes, I think we need to explain the origin of it. We're
Okay.
talking about the boomerang effect. And when we both Googled it, we couldn't really find what we were looking for
I
because
was so confused.
there was a boomerang effect, but it didn't mean what we meant.
Hmm.
And the idea came from one of our call to action members talking about after having a particularly stressful weekend, she had a day where she went back to the behavior that she used to do, and she felt like it was sabotaging her. So we both jumped on that idea of that's
Boomerang
such a,
day.
yeah, a
Hmm.
boomerang day.
Yeah.
So I
So we're
mean,
going to dive into that.
I'm nervous and I'm excited because we both kind of were all over the place.
Yeah. You and me both. So,
Yeah.
all right. So tell me about your call to action.
It was fair because I wasn't at home. I didn't have a lot of control. My call to action was to really do a deep dive into proteins that I could eat to bump up my protein count and to
Oh,
keep
yeah.
track of the proteins versus carbs that I eat in a day because my fats were pretty good, but the other two macronutrients weren't doing great in ratio in proportion to each other. So some days I would end up with like 30 grams of protein or 40 grams of protein. But this week, because I was trying to pay attention, I would have a handful of nuts and I would choose things
Oh,
with a little bit more protein. And I did end up getting to 60, which is not great, but it's still at least progress. So
60 grams?
mhm,
That's
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. So I'll take that. I still need to work on what I can do differently. And I think I'm gonna have to copy you a little bit and start on my breakfast. I think that'll
Mm,
set me up really well. And then um probably dinner is okay. I just need to work on the breakfast and lunch. Those are my two main areas that I don't get enough.
yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
it's like you have to try to
Yeah.
do it. You can't
Yep.
just wake up and eat and then get to the end of the day and just magically hit protein or any of your macros to be well, unless you're doing your sugar or carbs, but like they're really hard to get
Yep.
unless you actively plan and get them.
I
Do you know
think
what I
what
mean?
will help me the most is what you are already doing, what you're going to talk about is figuring out what I can eat that I don't really want to do the drinks and the powders and all that stuff. What can I eat that's going to bump it up? But in like maybe I add a little here and I add a little here and I have
Mhm.
some for breakfast, some for snack, so that by the end of the day I have enough total and I won't feel like I've over consumed at any one meal.
Yeah, that's it's I'm very curious to see how you feel.
Hmm.
How did you feel on the 60 gram of protein days?
I felt more full, which is really important to me because I'm eating enough, but I'm just not getting satiated. So I think
Hmm.
it's just a matter of hitting the right quantity of protein to feel full.
Yeah. And maybe you'll find that maybe 65 is it for you.
Hmm. It could be, but I think regardless, I need it. It's definitely great for building muscle and increasing metabolism and all of the things. I mean, there's no way I'm going to hit a number that's going to be bad for me because that would take a lot of work on my part. But I think I can definitely increase it by adding nuts and seeds and flaxseed and hemp seeds and sunflower seeds, pumpkin. I can add those things in and make a real effect.
I think you could do that for sure. You
Hmm.
love all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, good. I can't wait to find out how you do.
Yeah.
So, my call to action was actually to weigh myself every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I started. like 4 days ago. I didn't exactly start on that on the day we recorded or whatever. But so far it's been every single day. I'm writing it down and I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Really?
Yeah, so but I always was an everyday wear.
Hmm.
And I stopped in the summer. So I'm like, well, maybe I need a break from it. And then
Mhm.
I mean, my weight is fine. It hasn't gone up and it definitely hasn't gone down, but it hasn't gone up. So I just figured maybe go back to it. Maybe it'll help get down now.
Yeah.
Or it'll, at least in my opinion, it'll help me stay on track during the holidays because I don't think I could manage the holidays if I'm not weighing every day.
Oh,
Because I need to see that I ate 3 cookies and the scale went up. I need to see that.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just who I am. I need to know that.
it's like having a consequence for your action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need it. So I'm gonna continue that this week as well because it's helpful to me.
I really like it. I
Mhm.
like that you recognize that it's good for you. While for
Mhm.
some people it may not be good to weigh every day, but for you, it's necessary. And I like that you took time to explore that. Maybe if I take a break, what happens? And if I weigh every day,
Mhm.
what happens? And you
You
did
know
your own data.
what's really interesting is 3 days in a row my weight was the exact same. And like
Mhm.
on day 3 I was like, maybe the scale's broken. Like I don't
I
understand
said,
how this
yeah,
could be. The
I
exact
said that.
same.
Yep.
I'm like, this is crazy. And by the way, I wasn't doing anything crazy where I thought it would go down or up. I wasn't
Hmm.
eating crazy, but I'm like, the exact same. Like, what is
Hmm.
going on here? So
Yeah.
it doesn't make me mad though. I want to clarify that. It's just like, what the heck?
Well,
Just to
we,
show
isn't it?
you.
Let's just even take that a step further. When it was staying the same, you thought, oh, my scale is broken. But if it
Right.
went up, you would say, I am broken.
You're right. I'm sure I would have. Or I would have said, what the hell did I eat yesterday? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. You would have blamed
Mm-hmm.
yourself and you would have.
Yep.
So it's interesting how that's played out.
You're right. And if it was down a lot, I would have been like, whoa, this scale must be broken. I probably would have thought that way. Oh,
Yeah,
anyway. So we'll
interesting.
see what keeps going with that.
Good.
All right. Where do you want to start with our boomerang day? Our made up word.
It is a made up word for the definition we mean.
Yes.
When I looked at boomerang effect, it looked was like talking about kids coming home and living with parents. And I'm like, that's not quite what we mean.
I read that one too. I read that boomerang effect is when you're in your 20s, 30s, moving back home with your parents.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
Yeah.
I read that too. Yeah.
Okay.
What
So
else did
the definition I got, which I think can apply to what we're talking about, is the more aggressive something is presented, people would more likely do the opposite.
yes. Yes, that's what my daughter. This isn't even a joke. I had my daughter read the definition of boomerang effect to me. I'm like, please explain this to me. It could not dumb down enough in my brain for me to understand that definition.
Yeah. I get it. It took me a couple of days to research and I really understand the point I understood and what we were finding. And I wanted to kind of say this too is the reason why I think we look for a scientific explanation or a physiological explanation or a biological or mental explanation is that if you can pinpoint why something is happening, then you can fix it instead of blaming yourself that something's wrong with you.
Hmm.
So if there's a physiological reason why we tend to do these things, which I think we're going to discuss in a few minutes, is then you can say, okay, nothing's actually wrong with me. There's something physiological, biological that I can sort of remedy.
Hmm.
And that's beneficial to know.
Agreed. Because we can't fix anything unless we know what's going on.
Well, and it creates frustration when you don't
Hmm.
know. And you're like, I'm just
Yeah.
eating a lot and I don't know why.
You're giving me in the moment aha moments, actually. So
Oh, really?
yeah, but we'll get to them. We'll get to
Okay.
them. Yeah,
Don't forget.
I probably will. I probably will. But go on. All right. So I want you to start. Can you start by telling everybody in your definition of a boomerang day?
So
You put
this
it
is
so beautifully for me, by the way.
this is the visual that I had after researching for 2 days of what this was. I had the visual I got was if you're at the beach and the waves are really rough and they're crashing down, right? And it's really aggressive and you're just trying to like not get sucked away by the water. You're just trying to stay steady in the sand or by the water, in the water, whichever where you are. And sometimes life puts us smack in the middle of those high waves and those tidal
Mhm.
waves or whatever you call them. And then that water gets pulled back out and there's nothing there. Literally, there's only sand and the water. I mean, the sand and a little
Mhm.
bit of water on the beach, but it's like basically dried away, like an instant dryer. And when
Mhm.
you have that void, you almost feel like something needs to take the place before another wave comes crashing down on you.
Mhm.
So you can mitigate the effect of the wave.
Mhm. So you're saying I'm standing there and I'm me, and this huge waves are coming at me, and it's my kid's stress, and it's my husband's stress, and it's the car stress, and all of these things are coming at me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm barely standing still in this sand. And then
Right.
all of a sudden the water goes out and I'm alone, and I'm like, what the hell do I do now? And I
Yeah.
want to fill it up because I'm afraid that if I don't, something else is going to come at me again.
Right.
So
And
then what?
there is a
Yeah.
pull also that happens if you carry this analogy further. When you're in the waves almost pull you back out to stay in the stress, but your body is fighting against that to sort of stay stable and stay on land. So you
Mm-hmm.
have this internal struggle that's happening along with all the external stress. So when all of that is depleted, then your body's like, well, thank you for giving me a break.
Exhausted.
Yeah,
Exhausted.
exhausted.
Thank you. Yeah.
So,
Okay. So now what?
well, that's the visual I got when I was researching this. So if we
Okay.
think about, um, so another definition I got was the reaction of people acting for protecting their own sense of freedom. And it's kind of that same idea as if you want what you want, but you can't get it because there's like your husband's stress, your children's stress, you're like you want to work out, you want to eat right, you want to do all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But with all of those stressors, none of that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get mad. You're like, wait, what about me? Hello? Can I somebody take care
Exactly.
of me?
Right.
So I think this whole concept is an interesting one. We just have to be able to figure out because I think I understand it, but explaining it is a
It's
little bit of
so hard to understand. Right.
yeah,
So I
right.
was thinking about like the weekends. Like
Okay.
I wrote down in my notes, like, is my boomerang day a Monday?
Hmm.
Because my weekends are so mine are so relaxed and usually so not much going on. We don't have much to do. And then Monday comes and I'm like high strung again. So mine is a little
Oh,
bit opposite of that,
okay.
but it's still like I need my body's like, you want to calm down. Like you don't want to be this high up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's like my boomerang day because it's whipping me back around to my previous week, and it's like putting me back there where all I want to do is go back to my Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Does that make
And
sense?
yes, absolutely. And I think that's why Mondays are hard sometimes because either you've had a lot of fun or you've had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
food or you've had a lot of whatever. And then Monday comes around and you're like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to weigh in. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to do my responsibilities. I don't want to. So
Yeah.
in rebelling against that, you do other behaviors.
Mm-hmm. And you try, and we usually revert back to what we know.
Yeah. What would you
So
say is your go-to behavior?
So my Monday stress, I have so much going on. I don't know what to do. Is I don't even pack a lunch for myself or anything to eat, and I just eat as I go. And then my whole day is thrown off because I'm just trying to find food and scrounging up food and eating whatever I can find, and it just isn't a good thing. That's what my Monday behavior is. It is my boomerang Monday all the time.
Hmm. Yeah. I see it.
because
So
I was so relaxed and I had all this time to plan my breakfast on Saturday and Sunday. And then boom, high gear comes in and I'm like, oh my God, I got to make this lunch and that lunch and do this and do that. And I'm like, forget it. I'm not even doing mine. Boom, out the door.
so it sounds like what you're saying is by Friday, you were so exhausted that Saturday and Sunday, all you want to do is rest and play
Mhm.
and have a good time and laugh. And so by the time Monday comes along, you're like, oh, wait, that was too fast. I
Boom, back to
can't.
the next. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not fixing a behavior, is I guess what a
Right.
boomerang day is. It's the day that you're repeating because it's your habit. Like it's just what I always do on a Monday morning.
Yes.
It would be
For,
like the day after Thanksgiving for somebody, right? Like the day after
mm,
Thanksgiving for somebody is, I'm assuming for many people, it's just such a great day. You're usually with family and loved ones, and you're so happy. And then the next day comes, and you're right back to that day before, and you're like, the whole day was over. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean?
mm-hmm. Yeah. It could be the same way for Thanksgiving,
Right.
or a vacation where you went, you had fun, and you're like, oh, I'm going to gain weight from vacation, but you don't. And you're like, oh, I walked a lot. I drank water. I did everything. I saw sights. I had fun. I ate all the foods. And then you come home and then you have to unpack your suitcase and vacation is over and you have to go back to work and you have to do all the laundry and you have to put everything away. And there's like no more fun. So
So what I'm
you,
hearing you say is a boomerang day comes after a day with high emotion or high stress.
yeah.
It's
And it could
almost
be
the
either way.
letdown. It's like the
Yes.
letdown because it's our body, our mind is going back to how we handle those situations when you're all done.
Yes. Yes.
And you
I
can't
think
fix
for
it.
me, my boomerang, it's not a day, it's sort of like a evening, I guess you could say,
Oh,
where if I've had a period of stress or if I'm fighting with somebody or it's like emotional, I will sit on the sofa, watch a lot of TV, and eat a lot of food on the sofa.
okay.
And
So
it's
your
very
boom.
indulgent and it's a very, I guess you could say I'm trying to take care of myself, even though it does the opposite effect.
So when you do that, it's usually, I'm not going to say always, after a very intense, you can feel it all in your body for a day or 2 days or whatever, and it's over. Whatever it
Yeah,
is, the fight's over, the feeling is over, the rush of excitement or whatever it is over. So it's like relief eating.
kind of. Yeah.
Like, oh, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
it's always the same for you on the couch.
that's my probably number one go-to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm sure that I have other behaviors, but I can't think of them right now.
Oh, I'm sure I do too. I'm just now letting the words boomerang day soak in. And I think a lot of us have them.
Hmm.
It's the day after a huge, or maybe a couple hours after
Yeah.
like that high intensity that you feel in your body and it's whoosh, you know?
I wanted to explain what I read, if I understand it, biologically what's happening when that's going
Oh,
on.
please. Will I get
So,
it?
oh yeah,
All right. All right.
you will. You've
Okay.
talked about this before, so you will.
Okay.
So when you're in a stressful situation and it subsides, right? When you're in the stressful situation, your cortisol and your adrenaline are high, peak. When
Mm-hmm.
those two hormones in particular are at their peak, what they do is they deplete from other hormones, which stop general body functions. So digestion slows down, sleep slows down, um, just general things that are normal for our survival, they slow down because your cortisol and adrenaline are trying to keep you alive. So they shut down the excess operations and concentrate on breathing and heart, basically.
Okay. So let me repeat what you're saying. So basically, when I'm incredibly stressed or irritated or angry or even super, super, super excitement, everything else is shutting down except my brain's saying, okay, all we need to focus on right now is breathing and pumping your heart.
Right,
Okay,
right.
gotcha.
Everything else gets diverted. So
Okay.
once the stress subsides and the cortisol and the adrenaline decrease, they also subside, then your body starts waking up its other normal functions. So the digestion, which has been turned off, gets turned back on, and suddenly you feel really hungry.
Yeah, like
Or,
starving. Yeah.
yeah, or like if your brain suddenly maybe you might get a headache, or like
My
maybe
daughter does that.
your body hurts suddenly. Like you're like, oh, what did I do? Nothing. But basically, you kind of ran a marathon
Hmm.
in some
Or
sense.
extremely tired.
Yeah.
People are like, why am I so tired today? Maybe you had a huge stressful day yesterday.
Yes. So when the hormones are starting to re-regulate, then and you suddenly feel hungry, your body's saying, "Look, I'm resuming operation. Please put food in me." So
Mm.
it's the attention gets drawn back to basic body functions.
Hmm. I'm having so many aha moments, like legitimately. Like my daughter will get when she's in a high intense stress, she always gets a headache afterwards. Always.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
probably because of that. Like she's so intensely stressed that all her body's saying to her is, breathe, pump your heart, breathe, pump, 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 and then boom, headache. So then the next day, I'm going to pay attention to her now and see if
Mhm.
she eats more or what her boomerang day is.
Yeah, and it
You
could
know
be
what I mean?
also, yeah, the day after or the boomerang day, you could have like a lot of trips to the bathroom. It
Oh,
could be so many things where your body's like, okay, back to normal function.
interesting. Oh my God. By the way, I've heard people say during stressful moments, God, I barely even peed today.
Yeah.
And that's probably why, is what you're saying. Because,
Yes.
oh my God, I think I've said that. Like, why did I go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? Because you're highly stressed out.
It's like if you think about your phone and when it's on 10% and you put it on low power mode and it shuts off all the excess apps and it only focuses on like phone calls and I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
if
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
So that's all it does and text messages. That's basically the same idea. Is you're on low
Wow.
power mode.
And then then there's automatically going to be that your body come back to some
Mhm.
wants to come back to normal, and that's what our definition is of a boomerang.
Right. We're taking science and twisting it to apply to
Wait,
what
what?
we want.
Wait, what? No, that's what we do here, right?
Yes.
No, but I like it because I always love catchy, cute names anyway. But I really like the thought of like the fact that you just simplified that to me and realized that I have so many more boomerang days I didn't even know I have.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think the important thing to realize is it's a physiological response. It's not that
Hmm.
something is wrong with you, that suddenly you come home and you eat everything under in the fridge. That's not what's
Hmm.
happening. There's nothing wrong with you.
Right. Right.
And
You
that's the
just
key
made me,
takeaway.
yeah, you just made me realize like there's sometimes people like stressful driving,
Oh
angry
yeah.
driving,
Yeah.
like, yeah, right? Like you're a your whole body can feel that. And then once you get home, what are you doing? Like that's your boomerang. Your body's like, boom, take me back to right before that happened. Well, what
Yes.
do I need to do?
It
Yeah.
could be some people cry, some people with anything, like some other thing can happen just to release some of the stress, but also to try to regulate what your body needs.
It's pretty interesting, actually.
I think so.
Yeah,
And
I
I
really
I
do.
feel better knowing that there's explanation.
Me too, actually. And I feel better that we have a name for it, even though we made
Yes.
it up.
I agree. We made it up.
Well, actually, we didn't. There was a call to action member who did.
Yeah, true. We
She
can't
did.
take credit.
We can't take that credit. But
I also went down this road, which we have talked about a little bit about cheat days, but it's the
yeah.
same idea that of cognitive dissonance. So when you, this is the definition, people have an inner drive for holding all their attitudes and behaviors in harmony and avoiding dissonance or disharmony. So
Wait,
I'm
yeah,
going to explain
repeat.
what I mean.
Thank you.
Dissonance happens when there is an occurrence of inconsistency between attitudes or behaviors. So if you say, I'm going to eat a salad every day and I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water and I'm going to work out for at least 20 minutes every day, or 5 days a week or whatever number you choose. And suddenly you don't. And then you're mad because you're like, well, I'm an exerciser or I'm a healthy eater. And then suddenly you're not. You
Mm-hmm.
have this disruption in your brain, which is cognitive dissonance. So then you're like, what are you doing? This is not what we do. We're the exerciser, we're the healthy eater. And then you later like get mad at yourself of this discord in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be that could be one avenue that this takes in terms of why it makes us so upset. It's because
Mm.
we're not in alignment with what we believe how we should be.
So you're saying if I have my boomerang day and I just eat 500 pieces, not literally, but a bunch of chocolate and candy and
Right.
garbage, in my brain, I'm saying, you don't eat that stuff. Like you're healthy. You're really a healthy eater. You're not eating sugar. You're not eating artificial colors and stuff like that. So my brain is so confused. It's like, you're not doing it, but you just did it. So what are you doing here?
Right. And
Mm,
then you're getting sort of that whiplash from that behavior. So then you get mad at yourself.
yeah. God, I think that happens to me a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Oh, I think that
So
happens to me more than boomerang day.
So some of the signs of cognitive dissonance, and I thought it was important to talk about this with the boomerang because I think it's a little bit connected. So some of the signs of cognitive dissonance are you feel uncomfortable, you avoid internal or external conflict, you're avoiding the facts. So maybe you're under a
Is this
great
all in
deal
your
of
own head? You're
stress.
doing all of this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Rationalization. I
Okay.
I am a healthy eater, but I'm gonna take care of myself today and have this whole cake.
Right.
uh Fear of missing out. So if everybody else is doing it and you're the only one not eating something,
Yep. Oh, well, everybody's eating this in the teacher's lounge. I have to eat it too.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
shame and
Yeah.
guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think part of the reaction to the boomeranging. It's not a
So we
word, we're
have
just
this
making it up. But
boomerang day, and then we feel all of these things in our head.
yeah, yeah. And then where I
Yeah.
went from this is comfort eating.
Yeah, because that's what we do.
Right. Why am I what's the reason why we comfort eat? I wanted to know that.
Why why do you comfort eat?
I'm looking for something indulgent. I'm looking to uh, reward myself for dealing with whatever stress.
Oh, that's a great word.
I don't think it's like, oh, I deserve it. I think it's like, well, maybe it's an I deserve it. I don't think it's a punishment. I think it's like, look at what I just went through. I need a piece of cake.
Yeah. So a little bit of I deserve it then.
Yeah. What do you think your comfort eating is looks like?
Well, I was thinking of that, and I'm trying to think of like when I want to comfort eat, it's usually something that brings me happiness, like even a happy memory,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, like it's something that I can go, oh yeah, remember when I used to eat this?
Do you have a
I don't,
food that evokes those kind of memories?
oh, I have a lot of foods that invoke those kind of memories, but I don't keep them in my house.
Okay. For me,
Yeah.
it'd probably be sour cream and onion Pringles.
But you don't keep those in your house, do you?
No.
Yeah, I keep mine is for sure cereal, but I don't keep that in my house
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that would take me back. Also, I think I've said this before, chicken and a biscuit crackers with cheese.
Really?
Those take me back. Those would be a comfort eating. If I kept those at home, whoo, yeah.
Okay.
Crackers and cheese would be a big time comfort eating.
Wow. I guess that makes sense, though. Actually, that makes sense because the crackers are carbohydrates,
Oh,
which make you feel good. And then the cheese makes
is
you
fat.
relaxed and sleepy. because of
That
the,
would be, yeah.
yeah, that makes so much sense.
Hmm.
Wow.
Look at that. I made sense. No,
Hmm.
I think that it's interesting though. I mean, I'm sure that I do comfort eat when I survived a day that was really stressful. But I think the majority of my comfort eating is stuff that makes me feel happy and reminds me of another thing.
Well, it's probably both, right? If you're overly stressed out, you want some equilibrium, so you will reach out for something that gives you happiness or peace.
Hmm.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I found this website, nature.com, and they had an interesting the word I can't say, please.
Statistic?
Yes.
Okay.
70% of those interviewed reported an increase in food intake while faced with stress. 70%.
I I mean, yes. And I think
Well,
the rest of what is it, 40s, whatever
30.
the rest,
Yeah.
30%, they're lying. If I mean, that's not true. That's not true. Because I do know some people that get so stressed they can't eat. So yeah.
Right.
Okay.
30% reported a decrease in food during stress. And some people they just can't eat.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
right.
not that person. Do you eat when you're stressed?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I do.
You're like, yeah, me too. Okay.
So, stress effects may lead to changes in circulating concentrations of cortisol, which we talked about, insulin, ghrelin, and leptin, which are the
Hmm.
hunger and satiety hormones, and which may influence eating behavior. So, which we've talked about this already, but when stress affects your hormones, that affects what you do next.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Stress
That's
is
facts.
bad.
Yeah.
It's
But
so bad.
I think it was something very important you said in the beginning is that it could be a good or a bad stress, right?
Oh
It
yeah.
could be it could be you're so excited or you're enjoying something so much or maybe you've overindulged in some way and then suddenly you're back to the Monday blues, you know?
Yeah. This is interesting now. I'm going to be paying attention to this because I have a excited, stressful moment coming up Wednesday.
Okay.
And I'm just curious on what will happen that night or that next day for my boomerang.
Well, if you really think about it, if we have something we're celebrating in the day, what's the first thing that we say? Let's go to dinner. Let's go
Right.
get ice cream. Let's have
Right.
dessert.
Yeah. Right. Like immediately after, I'm like wondering, like, are we going to go? Like, what are we
Hmm.
going to do? Yeah.
Hmm. That used to happen to me when my kids had competitions, and I was like so excited for them. And, even if they didn't win or whatever, I was still
Right.
excited for them. And the energy was so
Yeah. That's
frenetic.
what,
And then you're like, I don't want to go home. I want to go do something else
yeah.
to keep this going.
Hmm. I think it's interesting for all of us to be aware of this and pay attention to it. Like, this is
Yeah.
why I get excited about this topic because now I can notice that there's going to be high intense stress moments coming up
Hmm.
and pay attention to the day after or that night. And what
Hmm.
happens? What do I
Yeah.
want to do? Yeah,
Absolutely.
this will be interesting. Maybe I'm changing my call to action to that.
Oh, okay.
I think I
Also,
am. Go on.
before I get into, I made a list of things we can do. I got into a
Oh,
list
okay.
of reasons why this happens from beachbodyondemand.com. And
Okay.
they were talking about um comfort eating, but I think it applies to this boomerang. It's
Okay.
it's a similar idea. The novelty wears off. So if you have been intensely, say, tracking or eating your protein and your fiber, suddenly it gets a little boring and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
like, I kind of done it. It's all right, whatever.
Yeah, a new app tracking, and then you like do it for a while. And you're like, oh, I don't want it. Yeah, you're right. Novelty
It's kind
wears
of
off. Now I
boring.
get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Um, you don't want to suffer. You want immediate results, but you don't really want to
Hmm.
do any of the work. So, say you want to have really defined muscles. Yeah, but you don't really want to work out,
Hmm.
as an example. It's
Hmm.
suffering. You want to give up caffeine without giving up your coffee,
Yes.
you know? And you have unrealistic expectations. So
Mhm.
maybe you think that you should be able to be on this diet forever and ever and never have an off day or a reactive moment. And when you do, then you're so mad at yourself.
Yeah, I think we all do that.
And I did read something which I thought was genius, which is, comes under the what to do for this, is
Hmm.
that, and it hit me differently. I've heard this before, but accept it as a part of your lifestyle, which means it's a part of your life and not your whole life. So if you have, say, Monday is your boomerang, or the day after you come back from visiting family, or the day after Thanksgiving, or whichever day it is, you have this boomerang, you have to know that this does not define your life.
Oh, it's
It is a
one day.
day. Yes. And to take that further is the lifestyle you lead is clean eating, healthy choices, water, sleep. But on that day when you're trying to comfort yourself, you're going to have a boomerang, and but that doesn't mean that's every other day,
Great point.
right?
Great point. Yeah.
It hit me a little bit differently this time because we've heard like it's a lifestyle, it's not a
Mhm.
diet and whatever.
Right. It's a moment.
It's a moment.
Hmm.
And that moment's happening for a reason.
That's the comforting part to me
Yeah.
is to know that like that I'm normal.
Yes.
I'm normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's happening for a reason.
Yes. And
So
then the second thing was to plan ahead for potentially triggering situations. And
yeah, like I'm doing right now.
yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
I know there's going to be a moment coming up this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when you have, like, say you're under a high load of stress, if you see a cookie, you're just going to eat it.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to have rational and reason to lean on because those are out the window. They're taking a
Right.
break. They're on their coffee break.
Yeah.
So,
This is so true. Oh yeah. So, all right.
there's a few more. Plan for allowances for extremely stressful situations. So that's slightly different than planning ahead. Planning for, say, if Monday is your boomerang day, know that Monday might be your boomerang day.
Mm-hmm.
Or know that after you come home from a vacation, you might have a boomerang night.
Mm-hmm.
And that temporarily, that's going to be okay. It may not be how you want to live your life, but it's a moment.
It's a moment. I'm going to repeat that to myself a lot. Like I think a lot of us need to say that to ourselves after these moments, after these stress situations.
Yeah.
Like this is just a moment. This doesn't have
Yeah.
to be my whole week. It doesn't have to be my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just a moment right now.
Yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
reason why it's happening. And that's the second
Yeah.
part, which is really key.
That we have to say over and over and over. There's a reason this is happening.
Yes.
Mhm.
And number four is looking for alternative de-stressing techniques. So
Okay.
suppose you don't want to do the boomerang behavior. Suppose you don't want to come home and eat the cheese crackers or cake or sugar, or whatever it is. What else can you do that will make you feel better?
Hmm.
And it's different for everybody.
Right. And that's that's $1 million question. Like what do you like to do instead?
Mhm.
And that's what I think is the hard habit to break, find, you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
so ingrained into me personally, like that I turn to that food that it's gonna be hard to find something else.
Like for me, I really like jigsaw puzzles, which is,
Hmm.
maybe it's weird, but I think it like makes me all focused on
No, I
finding the
do one on
pieces
my
and
app every night.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Look at
Um
us. We found two things in common today. We
oh
both
my
stress
gosh.
eat and we both like jigsaw puzzles. It only took us over a year.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
There's just
So,
two more.
okay.
Celebrate what you are doing well.
Okay. I like that one.
I do too.
Mhm.
And then the last one is develop a support system.
Okay. That one's important.
It is because we think we're alone in this, and clearly we are not.
Right. And I think that we've had people say on our call to actions that that's why they love them, is because they hear everybody else's personal story going on and they're like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's support system is very important.
Yes.
So, well,
Yeah,
this was interesting.
it was. I read
It
one
was
more
very
thing.
interesting.
It's sort of in the middle, but my notes were like that. They were all over the place. I think it might be another visual for somebody is
Okay.
once your mental and emotional areas are scorched, you naturally want to go to food to find something cooling and refreshing. So if
Oh,
you're
I like
burned
that
out,
visual.
if you are burned out completely, you're going to look for the thing that gives you the most comfort.
Hmm. I
The
love that.
thing the thing is finding the alternate for
Mhm. Think,
instead of
look for something else that's going to put the fire out.
yes. Yes.
Hmm. That's good. That's a great visual. I didn't know where
Yeah.
you were going with scorched. I was like, where is she going? Now I got it.
I I was just
Yeah.
thinking I was a little bit out of context, but it was a good way to think about why do we choose food? Why do we
Hmm.
choose sugar?
Because it's
Why do
putting the
we
fire out
yep,
or
yep,
cooling it down, rather.
right.
Either or.
And this is different than a cheat day. It's not a boomerang day is not a cheat day.
Hmm.
It's sort of like recovery.
Hmm. You're right. That's an interesting one, though. Maybe we need to dive deep into what is the difference.
Mm. I think
Maybe.
we need to sit with us a little bit because both of us had a hard time really getting a
Oh, this
grasp
was
on
a tough.
this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that's for sure. So, all right. Well, what is your call to action this week?
My call to action is to keep doing the protein and the carbs
Okay.
in terms of keeping track and finding more options. But I want to add something onto that. And that
Okay.
is my exercise has taken a big hit just because of my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I'm going to try to do is a client said to me they have an app that says a 6-minute exercise and a 5-minute exercise and a 4-minute exercise in one day. And I think I said this probably before as a call to action, but I think I need to go back to this again because I know I view exercise to be done in one chunk, but I need to,
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
were you successful when you did it?
No, I haven't been able to, but I think I need to revisit this because
Okay.
I don't feel good not working out.
Okay. Wow, this is exciting. So you're
Who
going to
knows
try and
if I'll do.
break up your exercise.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like maybe I do arms in the morning and legs in the afternoon and core in the evening. I don't know.
Okay.
I need to make a
Uh,
plan.
all right, an exercise plan.
What about you?
Well, I'm actually I know for a fact that we have our Friday yoga and
Hmm.
that's stressful usually that day until it's over. So that's one, and then Wednesday I have a award ceremony for my daughter. Both of those are going to be high intense days,
Hmm.
stress days, and then there's going to be a boomerang either that night or the next day. And I want to pay attention to them. I want
Okay.
to pay attention to how I feel on Thursday and Saturday and how I feel and on the way home from those events. And like, I really do.
I like it.
We'll see. Yeah. I have a couple more too that I know that's going to be, they're high emotional.
Hmm.
High emotions will be going in my head. And I feel like I need to pay attention to that. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited to do it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So,
That's great.
but yeah. All right.
Well, have a great week.
You too. I'll see you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.